Hi everyone, I'm DJ Caprisun, also known as Chloe Gonzalez, and today I'm here with Ghost Prom. I'm so excited to interview y'all. If you guys just want to introduce yourselves and give anything about your band, go crazy.
Ladies first.
No, go ahead.
All right.
It's your band.
All right. I'm Cameron. It's our band.
It's our band.
Yeah, Ghost Prom started. I feel like Eden and I were living in Vancouver, and we both were starting to play music there. It was just it's a boring town. It's a boring city. And it was raining a lot, so we started writing songs together. And I feel like we kind of kept it going a little bit, but when COVID started, I was playing in a band in New York, and Eden had her band, but neither was really doing anything, so I think we started to get more serious about it.
Yeah.
And I had like our friend gave us a recording setup, so we just started recording in our house.
Yeah.
And then the rest is history. I mean, we put out some music and then started playing shows and then made another record, and here we are.
And I'm Eden.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was well said, though.
Thank you.
Wow. Well, you guys have some lore behind. I mean, Ghost Prom itself. I mean, I was like scavenging y'all's website, which is super cute, by the way.
Thank you.
And I saw it was like
Sam
two
too.
ghosts from like the milk carton kids. Like
Uh-huh.
they weren't found and stuff like that. I wonder if you guys have like the lore behind that too.
I mean, to be honest,
Is it just those two sentences?
it said that I had to make a bio on Bandcamp, and that's kind of like
okay.
I like to write as well. So I kind of just made that up. But the name Ghost Prom comes from I had a friend back in Vancouver, and we were working together in Calgary, and he was a DJ in Vancouver, and his name was Ghost Prom. And I was like, that's the sickest name. And I just couldn't get it out of my head. I wrote a play called Ghost Prom, and I was just I would draw Ghost Prom everywhere. And I was trying to think of what to call our band, and then I messaged my friend and was like, hey, do you DJ anymore? And he was like, no. And then
Is this another borrow thing?
yeah, it's a borrow. I borrowed it.
Yeah.
No, I asked permission.
Yeah, I see.
And I was like, hey, do you mind if I use this name? And he was like, absolutely. Like, do you want, I would be honored. Jesse Haddock is his name. Real sweetheart. Shout out to Jesse Haddock. And he gave me the Instagram because that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And
He gave you the rights, basically the rights to your
the
band.
rights.
Yeah.
That's how it started.
How did the milk carton thing come up?
I don't know. I think I was just daydreaming and just came up with that idea off the top of my head.
We're really just two married people living in a house.
A couple,
and just trying to get by and trying to play some shows.
Really bored. I also think that we're obsessed with horror movies.
Really? Okay.
Want to talk horror? And
Yeah.
I think that I could talk horror all day, and I think I just wanted something kind of spooky, and that's what came to mind. It's not really the story. I guess it's kind of that's what I picture it sounding like to somebody who had never heard us before. I wanted them to have that picture in their mind when they listen to the music.
Mm-hmm. I see.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like your music itself, though, is kind of not necessarily horror. You guys are kind of folky, maybe a little bit of indie. I mean, you guys could be in that indie twang kind of scene that's coming up right now. But I guess maybe the haunting vocals, especially with your vocals that come in towards in the songs and stuff like that. I just wanted to talk about it because I feel like a lot of bands right now, they're very genre bending. And I feel like that's something that's great during this day and age because you're able, we were talking about before this performance, of all the music we listened to, our siblings who inspired us and everything, and kind of how you get so many influences that a lot of these bands do become kind of genre bending. So I just didn't know if you guys felt like you fit into a genre, and then I wanted to get into some of your inspirations afterwards. So yeah.
I mean, I think it's been strange to kind of find a genre because the sound in the band has like taken on so many like iterations already.
Yeah.
Even just in the last couple of years, I feel like we started playing music together like 3-4 years ago or something, and then kind of more seriously like maybe 3 years ago, and it's very different when it's just the two of us. And I like both the sound of when it's just small and intimate and a little bit on the folkier side, but then I also really love the sound of like when we play live and it's a full band recording on the record and everything. But it definitely, like, I think as you know, take and put in different variables in the sound, you're gonna almost get different genres. And I think it's kind of fun that we just have given ourselves permission to just sort of play with that, especially in like live settings. It's kind of nice to just like have it whatever way you want, as you sort of feel like it, or as people are available, really. You know.
Oh, I love that.
Available people's a big one. That was very well said. Yeah, I think I have such a vast taste in music, and I think that I have like an idea in my head of what I want it to sound like, and I feel like we're always heading hopefully in the direction of that, because I feel I'm not satisfied with really anything. I mean, I'm proud of it, but I feel like I'm always searching for some sort of sound that I haven't quite found yet. And I feel like I get closer and closer the longer that we're a band. I just started writing more songs and started playing in drop D, and I feel like everything I've been writing is in drop D, and it's spookier, and like that baritone guitar is spookier.
Oh yes.
So I feel like I'm getting, and like there's pedals also that help with that too.
Yeah.
So I'm getting closer and closer, because I didn't really know anything about gear or anything, and I'm not a great musician.
Period. I mean, performance tells me otherwise, but continue.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I got the basics down. I feel like I feel like I can write good songs, but yeah, I'm just trying to get closer and closer to something spookier.
No, I love it. So kind of like you guys are kind of just like evolving, like still kind of growing into your sound, or it's a continuous
definitely.
thing. I mean, no, that's nice that you guys don't feel like you're like held in a box, because again, I feel like a lot of bands are kind of like this, and they kind of do whatever they want, and I kind of love that.
I think also, just to add quickly onto that too, is like Cam is a great musician, but he didn't go to music school, you know, and so there's only so much like language he has to be able to say, I want it to sound like X, Y, and Z, or I want this instrument on it and I want these exact notes. So you have other people kind of translating the language that Cam has like started with, and it's been cool because as you've continued writing music and as like the sound has kind of evolved, your language has evolved too for what you want to be able to hear, and the way of like communicating that has progressed. And so it's been kind of cool to like see that too, sort of how like the intention of like what he wants to hear comes through a little bit more clearly as he gets more comfortable and confident in, you know, what he's able to communicate. So that's kind of interesting, and I think it's nice to just like open that playing field too, instead of just being like, oh, we have to sound exactly like this. It's like shit changes, and that's how it goes.
It's kind that's beautifully said.
No, I was gonna say I love that.
And yeah, it's just boring to me to say. I'm super squirrely, so I could never stay on one thing.
It's stressful too to be like I'm folk, and then you start doing something else. You're like, oh, my audience.
I know.
Yeah. But like, I guess alongside like being able to like switch it up and stuff like that, I think I kind of know the answer to this. But do you guys prefer performing live, or do you prefer like the comfort of like the studio when you guys are performing your music?
Oof.
Because I feel there's benefits to both, and it's also like you're home with your dog, like you're home at home, and you get to tweak everything and do whatever. But then live, you have your fans, and you have, you know, different band members and stuff. I guess that can go alongside recording too. But I was just curious.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think definitely my favorite thing ever is just to be cozy at home with Eden and I and our dog in our dog towns. he always loves to, I feel like he's the most at peace when we're like playing music together.
Oh,
even
really?
this morning, he's always just so chilled out, head down. I don't know, I feel like he feels safe or something.
Yeah. I can see that.
We got to rage it up a little bit.
Yeah. Start putting some rock in there. He goes,
Cam recorded the record down the street from us, actually, with our neighbor Aaron Moniz, and he recorded it and produced it for us. And then his brother Wyatt Moniz mixed it, and it was nice because it was so close. So it was like you just walk down the street, literally walk down the block, like, and like go into the studio. So it might as well
nice.
like be like being at home, like, but also. Like you guys definitely together had a lot more to like do with that process, and then I would just come in and like do vocals sometimes, but that was definitely more of like a you two thing. So for me, it's like I think that playing live has like given me a different approach to like music, and kind of how you like the fact that there's so many possibilities between like what has ended up on the recording and what you're gonna play live
absolutely.
Is like been a really fun challenge for me as somebody that is not like, I don't know, I haven't had a lot of experiences like playing live in my adult life with a band, and it's been kind of a fun way for me to like just mess with different arrangements and sounds, and like the pressure's not on me very much because I'm just doing backup and keys. So, but it's like it's been a fun sort of exercise for me, I think, playing live for sure.
Yeah, I also, to add on to that, I come from doing theater. Like my favorite thing to do is theater, and I think that being on stage is a special kind of thing.
Wow.
And I'm obsessed with being on stage. I wish I could play every night if we could.
Yeah.
And it's also fun. I just like to be a shit rat and like be a menace on stage too. And because Aaron, our guitar player, is kind of stoic, and I'll just like click on the distortion pedal when he's not looking just to get a reaction out of him.
A little child up on the stage.
Yeah, I definitely.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just the interaction with the crowd. It's an impossible feeling to get unless you're doing that, you know. And what Eden was saying about being in the background, I think I used to play bass in a band, and I was so nervous about playing on stage, and my friend told me it doesn't matter, nobody's looking at you, you're off to the side, you're just a piece of the puzzle, everybody's looking at the singer. So then when I became the singer, I was like, shit, how do I do it now?
Yeah.
And she told me what she does, and I do that as well. Our friend Sam, who's in a band called the Bobby Lees. I don't know if you know them, but you should check them out. They're great.
Absolutely. I will after this.
Super great.
Yeah, they're a great band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, period.
What about it? No. Well, you guys mentioned your producers as well, and I know they just got signed to the record label that you guys are signed to, Wally Opus, and I wanted to hear, because I don't think you guys know how crazy their story is when getting signed to their record label was. Or I mean, not crazy, but like coincidental, I guess, because of Swamp Eyes.
Us or the Moniz brothers? Us.
Yeah, you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a crazy story. Sam Cuban, who has a project called Swamp Eyes, who's also a really great band. I love Sam. He had reached out to us on Instagram and was like, hey, my band is Swamp Eyes. I love your song, Swamp Eyes. And Swamp Eyes is such a strange name for a song. It's so specific, and, you know, I've never heard anybody say Swamp Eyes before, and I would kind of say that about Eden. And the first song we ever wrote together was Swamp Eyes.
Really?
First song. And Sam had reached out saying how much he loved the song. And then I checked his music out and was like, dude, you're great.
Yeah.
And it was just this mutual kind of love fest.
Yeah.
And then we had started talking to Wally Opus, and we were talking to some other people.
Because Sam was a part of Wally Opus, right? He was
Wally
part
Opus,
of that team.
Both signed.
And we had been talking to some other people as well, but just didn't really have a good vibe with them. And when we talked to Wes and Sam and Christian, it was kind of just instantly felt like I'd known them forever. They're so sweet, and I don't know, we just got along right off the bat. And yeah, we've loved working with them ever since. And I feel like I talk to Sam and Wes almost on a daily basis, you know, about music stuff, about everything, about life. You know.
More than just the business side of it.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful thing, because I don't think that everything has to be separate, you know. And yeah, that's it. That's the story.
No, I love that so much, because it's like they're for our audience, Wally Opus is based in Southern Indiana, and they're out in New York. So it was kind of a crazy, because at that point I don't believe they were doing anything national. So you guys kind of stepped in. But yeah, you think say?
No, it was just cool, because it was funny to hear them talk about like, and now we're a label that has a band in New York, and I'm like, it's just New York, you know. But we did like go and finally get to meet them and like go down to Evansville, and that was really like special and fun to be able to finally like meet, you know, everybody that have been helping us out. It's a really like cool team and super sweet people.
Yeah, we stayed at their house, at Wes and Chloe's house.
Yeah.
We stayed in their basement. Towns was with us as well. Eden's little brother Peter was with us, which was awesome.
It's very homey.
Yeah, that's our thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, why would you want to do it any other way?
No.
And we got to meet their kids and spend time with their kids, and they showed us around Indiana, which is great.
That's so wholesome.
Yeah,
I love
it was
so
sweet.
much.
But also the spooky Sam took us to a courthouse that was kind of deserted, and there was an unsolved murder in there. And yeah, it was cool to see that.
Inspo for the next record or something.
Yeah. Record it.
Record it in there. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, but speaking of the record, Void Sweet Void, so you guys just released it, debut album?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wanted to know how you guys kind of visualize that album, because I don't know, when I visualized it, very much foresty, so I feel like it was a lot of inspiration from your area. Is it kind of woodsy, outdoorsy, and stuff like that? I kind of just like a music visualizer. Like, how do you visualize that album to you, and what does it mean to you?
Yeah, we definitely live in the woods. We live in a small town, Rifton. There's nothing there. All that's there is a post office. Yeah. And there's a big, it's called Sturgeon Pond is by us, and it was one of the largest areas for bootlegging back in the day. So there's a kind of a vibe around there. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really think about it conceptually too much. The songs just came, and I guess inspiration from it is probably, like I was saying before, we definitely watch a lot of horror movies, and I read a lot of spooky shit.
Yeah, you read a lot of like mystery and shit.
Yeah. Oddball detective novels. Yeah, I guess that's where it comes from. And also I just like talking to strangers. And I feel like
not even people watching. Just
no, not people. I don't know. I don't people watch. I feel like I'll watch them for a little bit and suss them out. And then I'll just go talk to them. Or it's also strange too, because I feel like random people will just come up and talk to me too.
Oh, okay.
And I just love having a conversation because I don't know anything about them, and I'm super interested in people. Yeah. I love people.
No, I'm the exact same way. I get what you mean.
So I like the stranger the person, the better.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's great where we are. It's great in New York City. There's so many people. There's also a lot of characters from where I grew up. I grew up in a small town, Ladner, British Columbia. And yeah, I think a lot of the people, that's a huge influence for me, is the people that I meet in my life or have been a part of my life.
Wow. Yeah. What about you, Eden?
I mean, I was just trying to like think about how to boil that down into like a visual. You're
gonna spitball it. I do not care.
Because I mean, it's definitely like Cam has 100% like taken the lead on the like sound of the record and kind of the big picture of it for sure. And I think like visually it is like, as I hear him kind of talk about like strangers and small towns and like weird woodsy places, there are kind of parallels between like where I grew up and where he grew up and where we live now, and sort of the differences between like all the super different people that we've kind of met in those like somewhat similar places but extremely different as far as like, I don't know, I'm not explaining it very well, but like I think, yeah, I feel like you are super interested in people in different settings, and I think that it's like a cool exploration of just that, of like your interest in people and like telling stories about like different characters and like how you've, I don't know, seen all that through your eyes, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense, but
it makes sense to me. Nothing is for nothing, and everything is for something.
Oh, I've never heard of that before. But I like it.
I try to use everything. I try to let nothing go, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's conscious or not, it all just seeps in.
Period.
Yeah. Period.
I'm gonna write that on the chalkboard now for all of us. Yeah. But I do have one more question for you. I just wanted to know about the shows you guys have recently been on, because you guys have been kind of on a little tour. They came to my hometown and did a cute little like artsy show, and then you guys kind of ended up here for some other projects and stuff like that. But I guess like honestly, like what has been your favorite part thus far?
I know when like Cam doesn't have an answer yet, and he's always like,
yeah, so inconsiderate.
I'm being a gentleman. Letting you can go first.
So gentlemanly. Yeah. I don't know. I think just like playing shows with Ghost Prom has like given me a different kind of interest and confidence in like what I want to explore in like my other musical project, and like it just makes me really excited to kind of get to experience live settings with different with two totally different projects, you know, and kind of different intentions around them. And like so I think that's been sort of my favorite part of it, is just I used to be so scared of fucking up live. And, you know, you have the luxury in the studio of being able to, like, go back when you mess up.
Exactly.
And do it over again. Maybe, you know, unless you're doing, like, an intentionally weird live take. But still, there's so much access to just being able to, like, cut stuff up that it's really nice to be able to, like, exercise that bone that is absolutely terrified of messing up in front of people, and knowing that, like, I'm going to survive. It's going to be okay. I can kind of learn how to, like, be more malleable with, like, sonically, and just know that if I mess up, I can go here. Or if I mess up, I can stop playing. You know, it's like everything's going to be okay. And I think, I know that sounds simple, but, like, that's been such a huge thing for me to, like, learn in the process of, like, playing with Ghost Prom, that it's just been super helpful to kind of bring, like, to the rest of my life too. So I think that's been my favorite thing about playing shows, and just being in different spaces and being able to exercise that in, like, different spaces and with in front of different people, you know.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that I was super afraid of messing up as well. And it is funny when you do mess up, because most of the time nobody in the audience even has a clue that you messed up. You know?
That's what, and
just like being able to let it go, and that translates into life, because nobody's perfect, and I don't want to be around anybody who's perfect. I don't want to see bands that are perfect. It's just kind of boring to me.
It's
There's
not as relatable. Being like, oh, they're just human too. Like.
Yeah, it's not relatable. It's not as human. And the shows, I feel like Evansville was really cool. The audience there was super receptive and sweet. I think the coolest thing that's coming to my mind aesthetically and visually, we played at this place in Tulsa. What was it called again? You remember?
Starlight
Starlight in Tulsa. And it's a super spooky dive bar. The floor is a Ouija board.
Oh,
and it's really dark. I like to play in the dark.
Yeah.
And it was dark, and all the lights were kind of a red hue. And on stage, at the back of the stage, there was a coffin.
Oh my god!
It was perfect.
Wait, that's such a cool ass.
I know.
It's like there couldn't have been a more perfect
right?
setup for Cam for sure.
They're probably excited for
I mean, I loved it
prom,
too, but like
sounds cool sounding for our venue, you know.
Yeah, if I could take a stage show around with me, it would kind of be something like
in
that.
Your pocket, yeah.
A coffin. I don't know. I have a bunch of weird ideas, maybe like setting up a tent and somebody's like watching old horror movies on a little TV in a tent while we're
TV in a tent. Okay.
while we're playing with the volume off, volume on, doesn't matter.
So theatrical.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I have
it brings by the theater.
I have different ideas of something like that. That's something I kind of want to have one day is it being more theatrical and strange and yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for letting UCLA Radio interview y'all.
Of course, thanks for having us.
Yes, this has been Ghost Prom, and again, I'm DJ Caprisun. Thank you so much for listening in, and definitely check out their music and their new album, Void Sweet Void.